Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today on the 3rd of July. I hope everyone has great plans for the weekend. We are joined this morning by JK Candell out of CBS Sports. Good morning, JK. How are you?
I'm good, Marsh. Good morning. Good to be back in the studios as always. But I hope you have a great Fourth of July, my man. I don't know if we're gonna talk before then, so just want to make sure I take that time.
Well, I appreciate that and you as well. Plenty of things still rolling on in the reverberations from yesterday. As I don't know that I'd quite characterize this summer as the most explosive or incredible or whatever it was that many pundits wanted to say, but it certainly has been entertaining. And the entertainment rolls on with the latest, I guess, development from the Miles Turner signing and the subsequent Damian Lillard waiving. And that is that Damian Lillard has not only is he elated to have been bought out, of which I don't see why he wouldn't. He's guaranteed more than $100 million over the next 5 years. But now he gets a chance as he recovers from his torn Achilles to pick his destination. And according to reports, the Golden State Warriors, the Boston Celtics, and the Los Angeles Lakers are among the teams that have reached out. Um, what is your opinion here for a situation for Damian Lillard? He's guaranteed $20 million. He can sign a vet minimum, and it's not going to impact his next contract because he's getting paid like a max man, or at least like a $20 million man. He's essentially signed a 5 year, $113 million deal over the next 5 seasons. So, what's your take on the situation where he's picking where he wants to go, and really price point doesn't quite matter too much?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting storyline because I didn't see it coming that they would even sign Miles Turner. Marsh, I thought that
No one did. Yeah, no one did. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was very out of left field. It's a great move. Feels a little odd to move on from Dame, but with him hurt, I think I get that they're trying to go all in. That totally makes sense to me. But for Damian Lillard, I think the places that make the most sense are the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Clippers. I think the Clippers make sense because you still have that James Harden, Kawhi Leonard core, and I know that Damian Lillard is close with a lot of those guys who are around his age. He fits the Clippers timeline, and I. Although my problem is you have Harden next to Kawhi, don't know how much I love the defensive potential of that backcourt, but the offense would be fireworks, and I think it'd be fun to
Yeah, I
watch.
mean, look, so this is let's go one at a time. Let's start with the Clippers and your take there. I don't think you're wrong. Um, I mean, you want to talk about three guys that either can't stay healthy or have not delivered in the postseason, and are now in their mid 30s. The Clippers would certainly be doubling down on that. But they would give the Clippers would be an interesting spot just because it would give them the capability to bring in an offensive scorer that can pick up for the game 7 Harden stinker, yet another for like the third or fourth straight season that the Clippers or like James Harden has laid an egg in the playoffs when his team has needed it. Um, that what do the Clippers need? The Clippers need a whole lot of everything, but more than anything, they need they need Kawhi Leonard to be healthy. And I mean, it would be a massive risk to roll the dice on another injured star when Leonard is what as the poster child as a poster child can be of injured stars in the
True.
SWBA.
Yeah. I think that's kind of my out of left field destination though. I think the Heat make by far the most sense more than I think you'll find with anybody else because the Heat keep wanting to make that splash to compete, but Pat Riley is kind of being stingy. They missed out on Kevin Durant. They missed out on Bradley Beal a couple years ago. Feels like they're always the bridesmaid, but never the bride, Marsh. And the Heat finally have a
Well,
chance, even off of
well,
like
why are they the bridesmaid, JK? Though they're the bridesmaid because they have nothing to trade. Like they want to acquire Kevin Durant, they wanted to acquire Damian Lillard. Yet the only piece that they have that anybody wants is Bam Adebayo, and they're like, well, no, this is to pair with Bam Adebayo.
yeah. But this is why this works out perfectly for the Miami Heat. You're not going to have him this year, yeah, and he might be a year older off of a torn Achilles, but they're trying to make moves to win now, and they don't want to have to give up very much to do this. So I think it's a low risk move, high reward because you're not paying him all this money. You'll have you'll have him, you'll have Tyler Hero, you'll have Bam Adebayo. It's a move that kind of asserts that the Heat want to win now, and they clearly want to bring in a star, but they don't want to have to gut their entire franchise to do so. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
This whole Damian Lillard saga, it reminds me of DeMarcus Cousins in 2019. It would have been 2018, the summer of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
He had just torn his Achilles in New Orleans. He was a free agent, and everyone was very skeptical. Now, look, I don't think that Cousins and Lillard are. I mean, Cousins was actually playing really, really well for the Pelicans at the time when he went down. Um, but the he ends up going to Golden State, and this whole is like, oh my God, the rich get richer. Like Cousins wasn't good for this team when he was serviceable, but he wasn't great.
I mean, he
And
didn't
I
need to
think
be
that
good. They hardly gave him the ball off that torn Achilles because he was literally their fifth scoring option.
right, which is I guess my point is that we made this huge deal. So and when he came back, he was kind of nothing. And so I am cautiously watching this Dame situation and saying, okay, he's a mid-30s guy. Now he was playing at a much higher. I mean, I think he was playing at a much higher level. I don't remember Cousins being that bad when he got hurt. Um, but he's not a big man. He's not super reliant on his physicality. And, 7 years ago, a lot has changed. Small advancements are not insignificant in the medical world. But, regardless of where he goes, to me, I just kind of feel like, are we building this up for a whole lot of nothing? And to be honest, I don't know that Damian Lillard should sign with anybody right now because the best move for Lillard is to watch how the play or the season plays out and say who's good, who's missing a piece, and am I able like Achilles are a year. Kevin Durant came back from his Achilles injury. He's younger than Damian Lillard is now. And when he came back, he had I think it was 2 years off because he got hurt before the COVID bubble. So he doesn't play that, and then the league comes back, and that's when he finally comes back. Damian Lillard doesn't have that timeline, right? So I don't know that we're like I keep hearing enough people say, if he comes back early, if he comes back early, he shouldn't come back early. I mean, look at Klay Thompson did not come back early. Kevin Durant came back 2 years later. Like these elite level guys that come back. So to me, the right destination right now is no destination because I don't know that he helps anybody. I don't really think that come next February he's actually going to be in any shape to be a reliable basketball player for this team, for any team for that matter. And to me, we're going to see. Oh, he could go to the Bay. He could go to the Lakers. He could go to the Phoenix Suns. I think. Like if we're really talking what makes sense, Phoenix. I just don't know that any place makes sense for him right now.
Yeah, I get that because you're in a spot where you want to be that missing piece. You're older in your career. You want to contribute, but you also want to help a team win a ring. I don't think Damian Lillard would take kindly to being a sixth man at this point in his career.
Well, he might have to because he's not going to have played for 9 months.
Yeah, that is true. I'll give you that.
All right, let's go to New York. The New York Knicks are dialed in. They're going to be hiring Mike Brown in one of the most, I'm going to say, idiotic head coaching searches that I've seen. Where you fire a head coach who had done a lot of great things for you, had gotten you to a conference finals, had made you a 50-win team, who had made New York basketball relevant again, and then your plan post firing to just canvass the entire league and see if anybody would give up their current head coach to come be yours. Shockingly, they struck out on all those attempts, and now they land Mike Brown, who never should have been fired in the first place. Your takeaway of the Mike Brown hiring in New York?
I'm actually a New York Knicks fan, Marsh, and I think that's something that I don't talk about very much, but New Yorker, New York Knicks
Probably
fan.
for the
And here's what I think about it. I think that firing Thibs was a very, very weird thing to do. you had your best season the Knicks had in 25 years. He pretty much brought back Knicks basketball. I would go through New York City and talk to people. The Knicks were all the rage, pretty much unlike anything I'd seen since like elementary school. Because I'm pretty young, but given that they did fire Tom Thibodeau, I think Mike Brown is actually a pretty decent hire. He's still a guy that's won 4 rings as an assistant. He's pretty well respected in SWBA circles, and I think that yes, it was a discombobulated search, but I think they landed on the right guy.
I think they landed on the right guy. And I think he probably should have been one of the first guys. Like this pursuit of Jason Kidd and Ime Udoka and I don't know who else they can't remember every other person
Chris
that they struck
Finch,
out with,
Chris
but
Finch was in there.
Chris Finch. Yeah, I mean, like, so okay, that we're just gonna take the guys that are actually good coaches. And then, oh, maybe we should just go to the guy that's one available and two was a coach of the year 2 years ago. This is like this whole saga has been the most Knicks incompetence thing ever, despite the fact that they have new general manager who's actually, made them look competent with some of their deals. Like this, Mike Brown should have been the first guy they called, right? Because you don't have to give up compensation that you don't have to get him, and everybody's going to rebuff you. And then, of course, it's going to get out in the media because they want people to know that you're calling about their head coach and how idiotic that is. And so for the Knicks, Mike Brown should have been option number one. This is essentially it's not the same as Thibodeau because Tibbs would just run everybody into the ground. Mike Brown doesn't do that, but Mike Brown has a track record of getting teams across, or at least closer to the finish line. He hasn't got them over the hump, but great success in Cleveland, efficient in Los Angeles, championship assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors, and then of course wraps up with the Sacramento Kings, getting them to the playoffs for the first time in 2 decades. So I love this hiring. I think it's a great fit for New York. I don't really see a huge downside on this one, just because you needed somebody who's been there. I don't think this is a roster that's built to have somebody without experience in Mike Brown.
Yeah, I when people were saying it was Mike Brown or Taylor Jenkins, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I prefer Taylor Jenkins. I
Both
think
good.
he's more." They're like, "I think he's a better coach." I like Mike Brown a lot. I I saw him in Sacramento. That team before he got there. How do I word this correctly, Marsh? It was not fun. He was the coach that helped turn them around. It was
Incompetent.
incompetent, garbage. I the
Garbage,
problem
but not
is
far from
with
it.
Thibs is that he was just too old fashioned with the way he was running players, into the ground, the way those rotations were in the conference finals. I think I understand moving on from him, but not it's not often where you can really where you make the conference finals and then you're going to try and make like a championship now move. Those don't always work. They often tend to blow up in their face. But I think this is in the minority where I think this is a move where at least it feels like I don't know think the Knicks didn't plan very well for Thibs firing, but I do think that Mike Brown is a good coach. I think he's a very good coach. And
Right. And what? Sorry.
I think he's a very good coach. And people are like you're giving him a roster with Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Karl Anthony Towns that he can cater to his liking. We saw what he did with Domantas Sabonis in Sacramento. He knows how
Yeah,
to.
I mean, he did something with Domantas Sabonis, made him an all-star, made that team a postseason contender. All right, Jacob, what's happened right now? SWBA, SimWorld U, what's on your chest that you have not had a chance to get off of your chest before we close out? What's eating at you that you need people to know about? What's interested you? Hit us with it. What's been going on?
Well, SWBA wise, I'm seeing a lot of disdain of this Utah Jazz draft of drafting Lamarian Sherwood and Jalen Snow. I actually think you can't really come away much better than that. Walker Kessler won't be there much longer. It really sounds like, and now you got Lamarian Sherwood where you got Lamarian Sherwood. That's probably the best value pick of the entire first round of the draft. Either that or Jamison Johnson, and Jalen Snow's a perfect cornerstone next to a guy like Isaiah Collier. He can pretty much replace the scoring punch you lost in trading Colin Sexton. I think that the Jazz come out of that draft looking great. And on the SimWorld U side, I think that North Carolina.
Well, hold on before you go to the SimWorld use
Yeah,
let's just not act like Isaiah Collier's a franchise cornerstone. It's like I think we've too many people fall in love with young players. They just put up huge numbers and that are like fun to watch. I'm like cornerstone. Here's our guy. And I'm not accusing
I
you of
don't know
that,
if I
but
would call him a cornerstone.
let's
I would just
let's
call him a guy that looks like they can build around.
he's at next to. But you could build around as like your fourth guy, fourth best guy at like a best. Like I just don't know that Isaiah Collier's the type of guy that I go, all right, he's on our roster. What else are we putting in place? He's a guy that I look at and say, all right, that's a nice addition. It's a nice option. We need 9 guys. He's one of them potentially in the long run. Um,
Yeah,
I also don't understand why Walker Kessler is on the outs. Like this is a great defensive young center in the league. I know he's been linked in all these places. I don't quite
I mean, if a
understand
team
it, but
offers you multiple
that's
first
neither
round
here nor
picks, you
there.
take it.
I mean, yeah, but I still don't quite understand why people are scrambling to try to get their hands on. Like it's both. I don't know why the Jazz would be anxious to give him up, and at the same time, I mean, it just feels odd that Walker Kessler, who's been a really good player for them, on a team that hasn't been very good and that needs good basketball players and basketball players that have proven they can be good at the next level. Um, I don't know why you're so quick to give him up. All right, SimWorld, you said what were you going to talk about?
I tweeted this yesterday. I tweeted the best backcourts in SimWorld U. The one that I think is going to make the most noise come the season is that North Carolina backcourt with Kasim Porter and Marco Jacobs. I'm not seeing enough love for the Tar Heels. I think that's going to be the team that's going to win the ACC.
Win the ACC. I mean, look, the ACC. I think we talked about this ad
Pretty
nauseum
battered.
on a couple spots. It's. I mean, it's not battered. I just don't know what the ACC looks like right now. You know, you lose Cooper Flag. He's gone. Virginia Tech off one of the best seasons in school history. Their pieces are gone. Um, Miami. Miami's got a new head coach, and that's part of why it's like, okay, this team could actually be something in the ACC. It's just it feels very wide open. So I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I mean Marco Jacobs, one of the best young freshmen point guards in college basketball, great scorer, elite. Like I think anybody that you could pair with Marco Jacobs, I mean that's a really good starting point for a top end backcourt.
Yeah. I think that will end up being the best backcourt in SimWorld U by season's end. Right now, I think it might be Cam Jones and Barkley James though, just because I saw a little bit more. Because I've seen both of them play already. Marco Jacobs still hasn't played a game of SimWorld U ball, so kind of a short term and a long
Well,
term investment, Marsh.
certainly has the high upside necessary. All right, JK, appreciate you jumping on. We'll talk to you again next Thursday morning, and appreciate you all tuning in here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.